Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs were eliminated by the Florida Panthers in a 3-2 overtime defeat, with the Florida Panthers shredding, scratching, and clawing the Maple Leafs, and they get the 4-1 series win, and go on to the third round, the Eastern Conference Finals, for the first time since 1996. Was it? Not 12 of the players weren't even born on the team. Barkov was 8 months old, and it's been 9,000 and something days since they last did this, and the Maple Leafs are still left in the dust and are unable to go very deep into the playoffs, only getting one win into this series. And really, overall, it's just, when will this team learn? When will the fans learn? When will Kyle Dubas and the guys even in charge of him, the owners of the team, decide to say, hey, something's wrong here? We've tried, for the last 5-6 years now, making it into the playoffs, and we can't freaking do it? What is the issue here? Well, it's because the core, the way this team is built, just simply is not playoff ready. Florida learned their lesson. Florida learned it last year, or even the year, combined the last 2 years that they've made the playoffs, right? In the bubble year, where they got eliminated by Tampa Bay as well, I believe. And Florida, last year, getting eliminated by Tampa last year as well. And they and I noticed the same thing, and they did the right move. Everyone criticizing them for trading away Huberdeau and Weegar for only Matthew Tkachuk, getting rid of the defenseman. But listen, Huberdeau and Barkov just simply were not the key to winning the Stanley Cup. And this is exactly the reason why. And it goes, and I'm going to make a video about this. I've been gone for a week. I would have done it recently because I've been talking about it more, but I'm going to do it now. That it's kind of a difference between the regular season and the playoffs, and why there is why the curse of the President's Trophy exists, right? It's not really because the President's Trophy, having the title of being the trophy, matters. It's because the team is built for different circumstances, right? The Maple Leafs are great in the regular season. Guys like Matthews can score 60 goals. Marner can get almost to 100 points. Nylander, Tavares, these guys get points. They're great players for 82 games. But when it comes to crunch time, they just are not the guys to show up. They're not the heroes. They just aren't. They just don't have that. And that is the difference between what the Florida Panthers and what a team like the Bruins and like the Toronto Maple Leafs here, and why these teams don't win is because the Florida Panthers, they have the offense, defense, and goaltending. They've got, right now I know going into it, it was kind of sketchy because Spencer Knight should be the goaltender, but now he's going off and doing something else. So Lyons stepped in. He looked pretty good, but now Bobrovsky's stepping up and looking good, which, go figure, Bobrovsky's proven that he's really good in the past, one of the best goalies in the league for a little while until he finally dropped off for a little bit. But still, he's showing up. He's showing 2020, even 2019. Sergei Bobrovsky is back. No surprise. A guy like that can bounce back from having these issues or whatever. Like Erik Karlsson, just take a look at him as well. Just guys going into the darkness for a little bit, coming back, proving that they still have what it takes in Bobrovsky. But not just that. They have the biggest key between a team like Florida and a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs is that Florida, they have the grit. They have the passion. They have the determination. They have the unrelenting need and that fight and just fury to win these games and go in there hard-nosed, going into the dirty areas, going into the scary areas, doing the hard play. Not the hard play, but just clawing for those goals, right? Take a look at the game 1's goals where Sam Bennett, all the crashing the net, poking for the puck, right? Trying to find it and getting the loose puck and getting in the back of the net. And that's where Toronto fails. They don't have that. The Florida Panthers, they've got guys like Tkachuk and Verhaeghe and Sam Bennett. These guys that are, I don't want to say unrelenting, but they're hard-nosed. They go into the dirty areas. They're skilled. They screen the goaltender. They stay in front of the net. They go in there ready to be hit or hit someone else. Going in, crashing the net, don't worry about getting hit in the face with a stick or something. Going in there and being like, screw this. I'm going to be the man that puts this into the back of the net, and they do it, and that is the difference. Toronto, They don't have that. They don't have those guys because Mitch Marner, Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, they just aren't doing it. They are not doing. O'Reilly is. Ryan O'Reilly was doing that, and that is why I think they got past the first round because they injected some of that net front presence, that gritty, not gritty, but well, yeah, kind of gritty, but like the rebound goals. The guy, you get it in front of the net, the guy's going to be screening the goalie, get the rebound off the pads, shoot it in past the goaltender, right? And that's where guys like Matthews and Marner, they don't do that. Those guys are looking for the nice shot. They're looking, Marner did not look bad at all, and that's kind of what I want to talk more about down here, is that the Leafs, they got lucky in round one that they ran into a sputtering and tired old Tampa Bay Lightning team that looked very bad going into the playoffs, and they got lucky with a few good goals. They couldn't hold a lead for more than a period, for more than 20 minutes throughout any of their games. They didn't hold a lead for 20 minutes at all in the entire series, and they got lucky. They got lucky winning that series. They got a good draw from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they fought so hard, and they did the job, and they got it done. They move on to the next round finally. But then they run into a serious team that is looking to have that fire, that need to win, the heat that the Florida Panthers bring that Tampa Bay didn't have because they're tired. They were all over the place for some reason. Something was wrong with them, and they go in, and they can't get the job done in round one. Toronto, they take advantage of that. Guys like Marner finally getting points on the board. He's looked abysmal in all the other seasons past in the playoffs. He just looks like a goofball. But this year, he did look competent. He was getting goals. He was getting good assists. And Marner and the Leafs, overall, they didn't look bad. They were not bad. The issue, and one time the commentator said this, is sometimes when you're being beaten, that you try, and sometimes you're trying to be too perfect with the puck, right? You're trying to get, instead of getting the puck and shooting it at the pads for that rebound and trying to crash the net, I think this is the biggest issue with the Maple Leafs, is instead of Marner going into the zone with a beautiful move, a beautiful hold of the puck, he's a genius when it comes to grabbing the puck and carrying it. It's so hard to get him off of it. I noticed that in this playoffs. He's very good at getting the puck, not getting it, but keeping the puck on his stick in his possession and making a play, right? He's a great playmaker, and he's very good at that. He gets it to Matthews in like the slot, and Matthews, instead of shooting it for the 5-hole for the rebound, right? Or taking the puck and trying to just squeeze, like instead of getting it and just skating to the net, trying to make the nice move to get it into the crease. Instead, he'll get it and he'll just try to rip it, which is another big issue with the Maple Leafs, is that these guys couldn't score. Matthews has an amazing shot, one of the best shots in the entire history of hockey, but he could not score any goals this year, and that was the biggest thing in this, is that the core guys, the core four, couldn't score at all. What, they had like, between those four guys, I think they had 2 goals with Nylander and Marner in the entire series. Matthews had none, Tavares had none, and I think those guys only had 1 each, so 2 out of the $40-something million that those guys combined make. That is not good at all. I mean, that is the biggest thing, is that I'm trying to say, is that the Maple Leafs core guys are not Tkachuk, where Tkachuk will shoot it into the rebound area, go in, try to follow the puck, and then try to mash it into the pads where he finally finds a hole and get in the back of the net, right? He's not Matthews is not Mark Stone in that game last night where he stands by he'll stand by the net waiting for the opening. They'll finally pass it to him, and he'll just wrap it around and score the goal, right? This is what the Maple Leafs are missing. They're missing guys like Ryan O'Reilly, but being the main centerpiece, right? That is what this team's missing, is a Tkachuk. They're missing, they finally have a Ryan O'Reilly, but they need like a more prominent one. And that's the biggest thing, is that they don't have the killer instinct guys. They don't have the hard-nosed, that's what playoff hockey is, right? Sure, you can score a goal like Nick Hague. You pass it from the goal line, and the defenseman just rips it, the goalie can't see it, and goes in the back of the net, right? But the Maple Leafs, they just couldn't get that type of stuff going, especially against Bobrovsky. He was just on fire. But when it comes to a guy like Bobrovsky or a guy like Jake Ottinger, these goaltenders that are on fire right now, you can't beat them by trying to shoot past them. You have to beat them by beating them up, basically. You got to take away their eyes. You got to make them fall on the ice and lay down, and you poke it and finally get it through underneath his pad, right? That's how you beat these type of goalies. And the Maple Leafs, they're not designed for that. They're designed to take advantage of a bad goaltender. They're designed to take advantage of a goal like Malcolm Subban, I don't know, just an average goaltender in like Karel Vejmelka from the Coyotes. And take advantage of those guys where they don't have the best glove in the world and Matthews can rip it past him. But when they run into a team like Vasilevsky, who was just doing very bad this playoffs, they can score past a guy like Vasilevsky who's not doing very good. But you run into a guy like Bobrovsky where you're not going to be able to just get the puck in the slot and rip it past him. He either missed the net, hit the post, or it went into Bobrovsky, right? And that is it. That is it. The Maple Leafs, you can't score like that against this team, and they never try to shake it up. They never try to be like, okay, let's put out Bunting, let's put out O'Reilly, more out there, and get those hard-nosed goals. And they didn't do it enough. And that's it. That's it. The bare bones of it all is that they just don't have a Verhaeghe where he's gonna stand behind the defense, get the puck, and shoot it past the goaltender. They don't have a Brandon Montour who's stepping up and just scoring these bombs of goals. They didn't have a Tkachuk and Sam Bennett who were going to crash the net and just stick their nose into the goalie's face. They're like Radko Gudas jumping up on the offense and screening the goaltender and then yelling in his face, right? That is what they're missing. They're missing that I'm going to kill this other team. I'm going to be the hero of this game. I'm going to make this team want to go home. And that's what the Panthers bring. That's what teams like Colorado last year bring, is that they had guys like McKinnon being like, I'm stepping up and I'm going to skate as hard as I can down the ice, make a sick move between the legs, and go top shelf, right? They don't have a McKinnon on this team. Matthews not stepping up and doing anything. Marner can get into Marner, this is the best way I can sum up the Maple Leafs, is that they're like bank robbers that they've gotten into the bank without anyone knowing. They've gotten inside the vault. They opened it. They've got all the money in the bag, but they have no idea where to go after that. They don't know how to escape. And that's what the Maple Leafs are, because they look good. They got the puck in the other zone. I think they let in shots like most games, and they don't look bad. The issue is that they don't know how to finish it. They don't have an RKO like Randy Orton has. They don't have a finisher. They didn't have that in any of these series, really. They got lucky in round one with their wins. And this one they got lucky too. Even in this game they got lucky. Both like the goals were like off of bad bounces or something like that. Like the no-goal call I think was a no-goal. I don't think that one went in the net, and there's not enough evidence to prove anything that it did cross the line. So really, the guys like Riley, he's stepping up, and that's what the Maple Leafs need more of. Guys like Riley, O'Reilly, even Michael Bunting, being those mean guys, aggressive, going after the puck, wanting to win these games. The Maple Leafs, they don't have that in Marner and Matthews and Nylander and Tavares. They didn't step up. They were never like, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to find that pass, and I'm going to skate into the net and try and score that goal. They didn't have that from the top guys, and that is it. That is the bare minimum, is that the main guys did not step up. They couldn't score any goals. And the team as a whole, the depth, there's no depth really to speak of. They don't have anyone. I don't even know who's on their fourth line. Guys like Noel Achari don't do anything. And guys like on the Florida Panthers, each game was a different set of guys scoring. One game it's Tkachuk and Bennett and Verhaeghe. The next is Lundell and Barkov. The next is Nick Cousins and Radko Gudas. Like, every game was a different set of scorers. The Maple Leafs, they just didn't have it. They don't have those set of scorers. Those top guys were never on the sheet. They never got the assists. They were silent, dead, and they didn't look like they cared. And I think it's because they were, I don't know if they were overjoyed with their one series win. Maybe that's it. But overall, the Maple Leafs, when will they learn their lesson? Kyle Dubas, is this year where his contract ends? Whenever it is, I think they need to fire him. Not because I think he's a terrible GM, because obviously he has put together a very good team for the regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, he has no idea what he's doing. Having goaltenders like Ilya Samsonov and Matt Murray being their goaltenders for the playoffs, never trying to bring anyone else in. it's just a joke. It's a joke that people think that they actually had a chance. It's a joke people actually think that they should be surprised that they got beat by the Panthers, even though I clearly saw this coming. The team's not built for the playoffs. They got lucky in round 1. The Maple Leafs will suck forever until they finally change things, because they need a shakeup. They need something to change, and they need it fast, because soon enough, guys like Matthews' contract's coming up. Guys like Marner's contract is somewhat coming up in the near future, sort of. So they got to look out for that, and I don't know what they're going to do. But until then, that's all I got to say. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit out of it. I was just at Disneyland, and this is the first video I've made since coming back, so I'm kind of getting back into the swing of it. So that's all I got to say. Thank you for watching this. Too sweet. Have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.